So do you ever get home from taking photos from either a vacation or out with friends, and you're so pumped to get them back into your computer, see them on the big screen, and you look at them and you go, I could have sworn they were better when I took them. Well, believe it or not, that happens to probably everybody. Luckily, we have Photoshop and Lightroom in order to help us spruce those photos up, even if they don't seem to look too great on the back of your camera or even in your laptop. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Dom. I'm one half of the YouTube channel, Cody and Dom, and we are going to do a continuous series of editing photos. So we figured we would split this up because we have completely different styles. We do things a little differently. So we figured it would be good for you guys to learn from two different perspectives on editing photos. So let's hop into Lightroom and get started. All right, we're in Lightroom now. Let's start it. So I have a photo here from 2019 in April when we went to the Grand Canyon. Cody and I, we went to Vegas and we drove all over to California, even places in Nevada, and we just went all over the place with the rental car. It was an awesome trip. This is one of my favorite photos I've taken to date, and I've edited it before, but I want to revisit it right now because there's little things that I've learned since that time in April that I could do differently. And I'm pretty sure I edited this on my phone, so it's really good to, I do that a lot when I'm like traveling or don't have my laptop with me, or I just want to save time and post it on Instagram real quick. But it's better to just put it in the computer and take your time editing it. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the things that maybe I did differently from the original edit. So let's get started. The first thing that I do when I come into Lightroom and pull up a photo is I go down to the lens corrections and I enable profile corrections. So you can just see I undid it right there, but you'll see in a second when I hit this check, boom, it just, what it does is just like flattens the image, because when you use a wide angle lens, it can distort it a little bit. So it's a little bubbly and there's a little vignette around the edges, and I'm pointing with my hand, but I should do it with the mouse. You can see it's a little dark around the edges, and the middle part's kind of like warpy a little, so it's just going to flatten it. Lose that vignette. We can always bring it back because that's something I like to do in my photos anyway. Next, I don't really like to touch the exposure that much. I usually will either touch the highlights and the shadows to make it darker, brighter. So first thing that I'm going to do, I see the sky is a little blown out or a little too white for my liking. I'm just going to drop the highlights all the way down so that it just totally shows right there that it's going to show more of that blue sky. It's not going to be too washed out and less detail. Now there's more detail, more colors, more saturation, which is great, and it just shows the depth in the photo. So next I'm going to touch the shadows a little bit. So I'm going to raise them a little bit so I can get that foreground to show up a little more, a little better. I'm going to go take the whites and I'm going to go down a little bit to like here. Again, it's just creating that depth in the photo, and it's going to be less washed out in the sky. And I'll keep it at around 58 or so. Blacks, don't think I really need to touch the blacks. You can raise the blacks, crush them a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll put it down just a tiny bit to around 8 or so. Then we go down to the dehaze, clarity, and texture. So what I really like this dehaze slider. This is gonna make it more like, even makes it look a little whiter or a little foggier, like dreamier. And the other half, it's gonna make it a little more harsher, a little more darker, and that you can just tell the blues just pop out of the sky. I kind of do this up around like 20 or so. I think I like it where it is right there. And saturation, I kind of want these colors to pop. Not too much though. I'm not really a big fan of like super saturated colors. I'm probably just going to pop it at around like 5. I think that looks good for what we're trying to get this photo to look like. Next, we're gonna start with the tone curve. At the lower left is the shadows. So you want to drop the shadows a little bit. It's like traditional with the tone curve to do an S curve, which would be dropping the shadows and then grabbing up top, which is the highlights, and just raising the highlights so it pops a little more. That is when I'm going to raise the highlights a little. As you can see, everything back there is kind of getting a little brighter, which is what I want. This is like the midtones. It's going to affect the midtones of the photo. You can either drop them, raise them. I'm going to raise it a little bit. And all the way at the bottom here is like complete black, which is part of the shadows. Complete black. I don't want it to be complete black. I want it to be a little off black, a little bit. And I usually do the same thing with the highlights. So I drop that down a little bit so it's not like completely white. So right now, you can already tell that's the before, that's the after, before, after. I'm going to go back up here because I want it to be a little more warm. I don't want these crazy blues. I'm not a big fan of that. I want it to be a little more warm, it's just personal preference. I want it to have that little sunset-y feel to it, similar to what we got going on here. So I think I'm going to raise it just a little tiny bit. I think I like it there. That's good. Now we get the temperature down. We're going to go down to the HSL sliders. HSL sliders, HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. So hue is going to be like the shade of the color that you're looking for. So if it's red, it's going to go down to the left, it's going to be a darker red. If you go more to the right, it's going to be more of an orangey kind of thing. I'm going to put the hue at about like around here, 42 or so. I'm going for that little more orangey feel, just like what the rocks are in the Grand Canyon. Orange, I'm going to make them a little more red, or like just closer to what we did with the red slider. I'm going to make it more towards the red side. You can obviously see that that's way too much. I'm going to go for around minus 35 to kind of match what I did over here. Yellows, I don't want the yellowy rocks. I kind of want it to be more towards the orange side. So I'm going to rock this at about around like 28, 30. And greens, there's not many greens. I mean, there's like green trees or bushes and things like that. You can tell it's not really going to affect much. So if I just like mess around with it, yeah, it's not going to really do much. I'm just going to put it at like +4. Aqua, all this stuff, aqua blue, purple, magenta, I'm kind of going to leave it right now where it is, especially for the hue. We'll touch them probably in saturation or luminance. Next, we're going to do saturation. So we know saturated colors are just more like brighter and they stand out a little more. So what we're going to do with that, we can affect each color, with these sliders. So I'm going to keep the reds where they're at. Orange, I'm going to raise it a little bit to make it a little more Grand Canyon-y, a little more orange-ish, and around like 10 or so. And just for purposes to see before and after, it's way more vibrant, way more like the Grand Canyon right now. So we're getting there, but it's not finished yet. Next, we're going to touch the yellows, and I'm going to drop them a little more towards the, I don't want the super yellowy, I'm looking for more orange and reds. So drop that to around, I would say, let's see, like 27 or so. I think it looks good there. Greens, I'm going to not even touch them. It's not really going to do much anyway, as you can see there. So I'm going to keep them at 0. Aqua, so we're going to affect the sky a little bit. It's only really affecting the portion under the horizon right here. So it's not really doing much. I'm going to raise it a little bit to like 29 or so to raise that. I don't want them harsh lines. it's more like, yeah, it doesn't even do much. I'm gonna keep it at like 29. Blues, I'm going to get away from the super saturated blue sky. That is not something I like, personally. I want more of the natural kind of blue sky. And even a lot of the times I will do a gray sky, just because I think it looks cool. But I want to keep the blue because I want it to be like as it was shot, not like totally unsaturated blue. I want more of the blue sky in there, not too much, but just a little bit. So I'm going to keep this at around probably around here, like -30, maybe a little more. I feel like -29 or so. And purple magenta, I'm not gonna even touch him because it's like there's not much purple or magenta anyway in the photo. Now next we're going to luminance. I'm gonna lighten it up a little tiny bit to about right there, where probably like 11 or so. And next we're gonna get the orange. I'm gonna put the orange down a little bit to create some of them shadows. So let's probably like 13. Yellow, I'm not gonna touch it. Yeah. Yellows, darker, brighter, darker, brighter. Maybe I'll just raise it just a tiny bit, just to get them highlights from the sun on the mountains here. So raise it just a tiny bit and +5. Greens, I'm going to not even really touch it. Like, it doesn't really do much anyway, so keep them at, I don't know, right there, +18 or so. Aquas, same thing. It's affecting the horizon. I'm going to see when you do this. You can see those hard lines here. I do not want that. Let me keep it up to make it a little more natural or so. Right there at about +21. And blues, I'm going to drop them a little bit to get that detail back in the sky. So I kind of like it where it is right there. Yeah, probably at -32. Magentas are gonna really affect just the back of the mountains here, and well, not mountains, just I guess the mountains. And Grand Canyon is just like a big ass hole in the ground, but there's like mountains. It's the craziest thing. It's really cool if you've never been there. And one more thing, actually, so I didn't even mention this in this video. What makes this one of my favorite photos is, I'll zoom in right here, and there's this guy. He's just sitting on the edge of the cliff. And Cody and I, when we were walking out of the outer rim, we saw this dude. We walked out and he was still sitting there from when we walked all the way to where we were when I took this photo. He's still sitting there, and I got him in the photo, and it's freaking awesome. I love it. You can just see the scale of how big the Grand Canyon is. That's a person. It's a freaking person. It looks like an ant. Like, that's the scale we're working with. That's exactly how big we're talking when we look at the Grand Canyon. I really like how it's turned out. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to get some more detail out of the sky. So this is what you call a gradient filter on Lightroom. It's gonna affect the top portion more than the bottom portion, so it's a gradient that way. And I just want to put a little more warmness in the old sky. I want them clouds to be a little more orange, because this was shot like right around sunset, And I kind of want it to show in the photo because I don't think it does. And I think it looks cool instead of going super cold. Like the sky looks super blue. I want it to be more like that sunsetty, warmer tone. And I'm kind of gonna just mess around with like the shadows. It's gonna also affect like the back part of this image, which I want these kind of to pop because of the depth that you can see, like how really far this is and everything, all the detail there. So that is cool there. I think I like where that's at. Next, I'm going to do another gradient filter, and I'm going to affect this foreground because I want that to kind of pop a little bit. And I also don't want it to be super dark like that. I want the shadows to raise just a little bit so you can really see what's going on. And I think I'm going to hit this dehaze here. Throw this down a little bit. This is how it would look darker. I'm going to brighten it up a little. I kind of like how that's looking. Boom. You can always go back and kind of mess with it. And I'm going to tweak the exposure a tiny bit. There. Boom, boom. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Before, after. Last thing I'm going to do is what I like to do on a lot of my photos is do a little vignette, just so your eye just focuses more on the center of the photo. In this case, it's exactly what I want. I want everything to kind of focus your eye towards the center, and you can see that depth in the photo. And if your eye can catch it, check that dude out sitting on the freaking cliff and wonder what the heck is he thinking. Just sitting there enjoying the views, and it's really awesome. And it's one of the things that I really like about this photo here. So is the before, there is the after, and I think that's Instagram ready. Actually, one more thing we gotta do, and we need to do that Instagram crop. And unfortunately, it's gonna take a little bit away from this photo. It's something that I don't like about Instagram. They have to crop certain things so it cuts off like the top portion a little bit and the bottom portion. In this case, I love the photo the way it is, but unfortunately, you just gotta frickin' do it. If you want to post it on Instagram, you gotta crop it. And I kind of like this composition. I kind of want more of the sky. Honestly, I really like that sky. So I'm gonna do it more here. Put that guy kind of in the center of everything, and I'm gonna hit a boom. So what I'm going to do is give you a free wallpaper on my Instagram too. So if you go to my Instagram and check it out and you like this photo, I'm gonna put it as a wallpaper so you can screenshot it. And if you do use it, let me know. Send me a message or send me a story, and I'll reshare you on my Instagram as well. I appreciate everything. If you like what I did here and you want to see more videos like this, please leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video if this is something that you want to see more of. I know we have one more in this series coming up, and that's Cody's Way, that he edits photos. And we're also thinking about doing something where we edit your photos. So I actually put it up on my Instagram already. If you're interested to send your photos in to us to see how we would edit them, and you'll get some exposure on our YouTube channel and through Instagram, please send it to this email right here. And we look forward to seeing your submissions. We've already got a couple already, and that video will happen probably in the next couple of weeks or so. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next one.